Okay, I wanted to do a video right quick again. Hopefully it's not too long. I recorded this video and I was uploading and I realized it was going on 50 minutes. I said that's just way too long. So for those that are new to the channel, I call my channel Mark's Musicology Euphorium. I used to call it Mark's Music Place, but I kind of like that Musicology Euphorium better. So with that being said, I don't want to be very long, but I was thinking about this. I made a video on this before and I want to think about it again. I was on the internet looking at the pricing of some of these schools, like Full Sail, SAE. I didn't look at Los Angeles Recording. Los Angeles Recording School. I think LA Recording School. Let me see. LA Recording School. There we go. It says Los Angeles Recording School undergrad tuition and fees $24,620. I don't know if that's annually or that's the total amount. I was trying to see how much it costs. But anyhow, okay, let's say I think Full Sail, and I don't know if that's annually. Somebody had to school me on that, if that's annually, or if that's the total amount. But anyhow, so that's the LA Recording School, there's SAE, there's Full Sail. I know Blackbird has a 6-month program that's about $23,000. Dark Horse Institute is about 5-month program and it's $16,000. But so a lot of these schools are still charging, and some of these are antiquated. In other words, I mean, they're still teaching students the old way, like the large format console, 2-inch tape machine, outboard gear, patch bays, stuff like that. Now, in recording, in modern recording, the modern recording is pretty much the home studio project setup for the most part. There are people that still have so many variety of, if they are renting a building or they built a more commercial light recording studio setup in their home or in the building, there are studios still like that. There's still people building commercial type recording studios in an actual building or in their home. But then there are people that it ranges in so many setups. It's no setup I've ever seen in these studio tours, commercial or home, it's the same. I haven't seen one that's identical. Not a single one. So with all that being said, my thing is, with so many videos on the internet, wouldn't it just be cheaper to take the same amount of money that you would have spent paying that kind of tuition cost to buy some gear and just learn it and practice it and just keep doing it? Or should you go to school? Now I'm like this. I'm never anti-school, because I believe that there's always something you can learn. There's always something you can learn going to school. You're always going to get something out of it. You may not enjoy every subject, and some of them subjects may be boring, but there's always something. Always something. that will teach you something that you probably would have never thought of to learn on your own. Because one thing about knowledge, you only know what you know. There's no way in the world for you can know something if you don't know it. It's just not gonna pop in your head that you automatically know it. So school is good, but also the one thing I do know about this is what you would have learned, what you would have learned in school. There's a video on it teaching the same subject for free. So now the question is, well, you might ask yourself, well, how do I know what to learn? I'm brand new to this. Well, how do I know what to learn? Where do I start? I would say this. Kind of think of it like this. If I was new to this, I would probably go on, if I was wanting to learn studios and recording. Let's say you may not realize this. One example would be this. Excuse my yawning. Excuse the yawning. One example would be this. Let's say Warren Hewitt, Produced Like a Pro, does a lot of studio tour videos. And if you pay excuse me, if you pay attention, when he's talking about the outboard gear, or he might talk about the live room, or he might talk about the console and things like that, pay attention to why he's talking about it. Let's say he'll sit there and say, let's say he's in one studio tour and he's talking about, let's say it's an LA3A compressor. And he might say, oh yeah, I love this setting right here, blah, 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 blah. And I love the way it gives the good, when I'm playing the guitar, it gives the guitar this certain pumping sound or whatever. Pay attention to that. And I'll tell you why to pay attention to that. Because obviously they're incorporating that gear to get the guitar sound that he's talking about. There's a reason why it's getting a certain sound. So when he's talking about certain pieces of gear, pay attention to why he's talking about certain pieces of gear, how they set it, how they use it, whatever. And there are a lot of people, like lately, Chris Load Algae, as another example, is selling a lot of his excess gear. And he talks about his gear probably in about maybe 1 or 2 minutes, because he's selling his gear. And he's signing the gear he's selling. And he's telling you certain gear that got him certain sounds. Pay attention to that. If you happen to come across those videos. Sometimes people are like, well, I don't know Warren Hewitt, Produced Like a Pro, to watch his videos. Or I don't know who Chris Load Algae is or whatever. I'm just throwing those some examples out there. But there are quite a few. And when I say quite a few, I mean thousands. Quite a few is an understatement to the amount of videos. For example, Bruce Sweeting, he used to be Michael Jackson's recording engineer, rest in peace. Michael Jackson, rest in peace. Bruce Sweeting has a video where he was talking about, it's called Recording with Bruce Sweeting. There are engineers like that, Grammy Award winning engineers like that. Even Steve Albini, rest in peace, was showing drum miking techniques. Bruce Sweeting was talking about miking techniques and how he record. Unusual recording techniques with Sylvia Massey. There's so many videos out there, and the way YouTube's algorithm works is if you watch certain styles of videos, other caliber styles of videos will start to generate based on what you're watching, which means YouTube/Google is watching what you're watching, if that makes sense. So, with that being said, there are ways to learn. I would say another way is like, well, I would sit there and say, research. See if you can get your hands on an audio engineering school itinerary. You know, the syllabus, the courses that they're going to teach in the school. What are they going to teach week by week? And, you know, what are students going to be tested on? If you can get your hands on that kind of stuff, it's out there. Go through that, and then let's say it's a whole list of classes they're going to teach. Then after that, say what class? Well, they're teaching mic techniques. Go to YouTube and watch videos on mic techniques. Then buy yourself some mics that you would have used for a school tuition. Buy yourself some mics and gear, and place the mic techniques and the style of microphones they're using and the placement. If it works for them and how they're doing it, it's going to work for you. So it's kind of like, that's kind of how you start. You got to kind of think outside the box. It's like, well, what do they teach in school? Well, they have a list of what they teach in school. Well, go find out what they teach in school and then go learn it on your own. Look at the cost. I mean, think about it. Some of these schools, $25,000 a year. $100,000. You know what kind of studio you can build for $100,000? You can build a really nice home recording studio with the gear and equipment and everything else for $100,000. Most people are going to work. You know, they're going to work in a where they're going to have a DAW, plugins, some studio monitors, some headphones, a few microphones, an audio interface, a DAW, and that's generally how they're going to work. They might have a MIDI controller, and so forth. That's how majority of most people are going to work in their project studio. So I can say that the amount of stuff that it takes to do recordings in commercial studios, it's a lot. And it can be overwhelming if you don't know what to do and know where to start. But just remember this, when it comes to audio engineering schools, most of those schools, like any school, teaches you basic stuff. All the advanced experience stuff is just going to come from experience. There's just no way to get that in any school. So my thing is this: what makes great music and recording from the front end of just recording to the mixing to mastering, most of that is just years of experience of people just doing it, making mistakes, correcting their mistakes, and learning from their mistakes and learning what works and what doesn't work. And that's just years of doing it. So whether you went to school or not, you're not going to get the advanced experience stuff anyway. And the advanced experience stuff is what you want to learn to be able to be competitive with what's already being done by professionals out there anyway. It's the advanced experience stuff that they're doing. The basic stuff is just basics. You know, basic mic placement, you know, basic preamp setup, you know, console, understanding panning and EQ and auxiliary routing and bus setups and all that basic stuff, speaker placement, understanding SPLs and all that's the basic stuff. How to set up a compressor, the ratio, you know, where it's threshold, you know, 3-to-1 compression ratio, or a fast attack, slow release or whatever, makeup gain and all that. That is very basic stuff. The advanced stuff is knowing. So I would say anyone that's learning recording, you're going to make all the basic mistakes that everyone's made when it comes to recording. Everyone has made the same mistakes, you know. Stuff is too bright, semblance, stuff is too bassy, all these acoustic problems in the mix and all this, you know, these bad recordings and all that. Everyone makes those mistakes. Experience and time corrects it. And taking it, but there's with the internet and YouTube and so many, the engineers out there showing you how they do stuff on YouTube, and I'm talking about the pros, mixed with the masters and what crystal algae do, what CLA is doing to set up mixes. Pay attention to that. Bob Clearmountain, what is he doing? How does Steve Albini mic drums? How did Bruce Swedien set up mic placement in his recordings? There are literally thousands of engineers out there, and not just the well-known ones like Dave Pensado or Manny American or Joe Ciccarelli or Greg Wells or I'm just naming Andrew Sheps. I can go on and on. And just the list is actually long. It's large because there are so many mixing engineers and recording engineers that you probably haven't heard of. But mixing and recording engineers, mastering engineers. There's channels out there like Produce Like a Pro. Warren Hewitt is a very good channel to watch. There are lots of channels out there. If you can learn from people that actually have actual physical credentials in the business, in the recording side, like pay attention to what John McBride of Blackbird is saying. Joe Corell from Treasure Isle. If you can, he's partnered up with Produce Like a Pro. Pay attention to what Joe Corell is saying. He's got channels where he's talking about mixing and recording. Pay attention to his channel. This is how you learn. And the thing is, with all those YouTube channels and all those people like that are showing people how to do stuff, just nowhere in the world I could spend $25,000 a year for an audio engineering school degree when the information is free out there on the internet. I don't have that kind of money to burn. $100,000 can buy you some amazing gear and practice. Gear, speakers, microphones, cables, mic stands, instruments, audio interfaces, studio monitors. It's so much stuff. MIDI controllers. It's so much stuff that you can buy with that gear. Instead of giving to a school. Because a lot of stuff that you will learn in school is like, yeah, I can learn how to run, set up a tape machine, but who's using tape? Not very many people. Unless you just want to learn how to use a tape machine and play with a tape machine. Just like with an SSL or a VR Neve console or something like that. Those are amazing consoles. But most people are probably not going to have one or access to one to actually work on it and use it after they get out of school. What people will have access to is like a DAW, a mouse, keyboard, or controller. If they don't already have access to that, whatever DAWs, I call them VRSs of their choice. That's the thing that's what I'm saying. So I'm going to end the video. I just want to get your thoughts on it. I personally, if audio engineering schools were 1/8 of what they cost to go to, then yes. Oh yeah. Because it just makes it easier instead of trying to fish out on the internet what you need to learn. They're going to teach you in school. I'm talking about the basic stuff. But because audio engineering schools are so pricey, it isn't worth it. Just like I think college degrees in general just aren't worth the cost. Even though I have a bachelor's degree, but thank God I was in the Army and my GI Bill paid for my college degree. But Most people don't join the military and you get in the GI Bill to pay for their school. Most people have to do the Pell Grants or student loans to pay for school, and now they're in debt with the student loans. I don't make any sense to me. I'll use one last analogy and I'm into the video. It's kind of like I'm going to pay to go to an auto mechanic school to, like, for example, learn how to change my oil, when there's a video on YouTube to tell you how to change your oil. And it's free. But if I go to auto mechanic school, it's going to charge me $5,000 or $10,000 to change oil. Does that make any sense? Because what you're going to learn from watching YouTube and going out and do it yourself, you're going to do it in school. So why not buy your own gear and learn how to do it yourself and do it for free? But if you feel the school is necessary, then the only way you can learn, by all means. But I'm not spending $25,000. You know what I can buy with $25,000? I can equip. Matter of fact, my setup in my dining room was probably only $1,200, not $25,000. Y'all get what I'm saying? Other than that, thanks for watching. Y'all have a great one.